think you're all going to enjoy this one because I really enjoyed making it. All right, so I'm just going to do a quick little presentation. We can take it slow, though, and you know, Max, if you want to watch questions coming in, just stop me at any point in time, and then we can start addressing it. Also, keep in mind there may or may not be some sort of quiz at the end that may or may not earn you a certain Watsa NFT. All right, here we go. Icosa Hedron blockchain analysis. Let's see what I got going on here. I'm in the wrong screen. Here we go. There we go. Let's start with what is the SA and why does it exist? All right, let me read this to you guys real quick. The source address, or SA, in the Hedron protocol is similar to the origin address, or OA, in the Hex protocol. The source address is granted a copy of all the Hedron mint bonuses if and when they occur. The owner of this address and their intentions for it are unknown and/or undisclosed. You must not have any expectations of profit from this address. Do you think that's a good comparison, Max?
Yeah, so the SA, I think there are a lot of people, they almost use them interchangeably. I know I've got confused a couple times, but yeah, SA versus OA, and then you got Hedron versus the Hex portion. So you'd say like the Hedron one, are you going to talk about that as well? Like the Hedron SA being the deployer contract that gets the Watts NFT stuff? Is that how you describe it?
We'll get to that. Yeah, we'll cover that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So the SA is typically, you know, just like the OA is the largest holder in, you know, a token. You know, it holds down the most tokens. You could say you know, there's a couple different reasons why. I would say off the top of my head, the main reasons are you want some sort of centralized ownership because it's great for pumping the price. And also it kind of protects your token from a nefarious whale coming in and trying to take over, right? So there's a couple good things there. And I'm sure you guys in the chat know of a bunch of other good reasons why the OA has been such a benevolent address for the Hex ecosystem. But we'll get to all the SA stuff here shortly. So let's first look at the current holdings of the SA. So first, and these numbers are from a few hours ago, so forgive me if they're a little off, but it currently owns or has in its possession 42.1 trillion tokens, which is roughly worth about $162 million at recent prices. So it's a big old bag. What else does it have? Well, just like any other true, you know, origin address or source address, it's got daughter addresses. It's got 7 as of this recording. The only thing to really know about those 7 is they each received 100 billion Hedron at the beginning. And so far, 5 of the 7 are completely dormant. They haven't done anything. The 100 billion is just chilling there. The other 2 have strategically come in and out of the market as providing liquidity in the market for Hedron to help support it in certain areas. So without going down that whole rabbit hole, I would like to point out that as I was going through and looking at the entries and exits of the LP positions that these daughter addresses did, all but one, I should say, have been masterfully done. Like I've never seen liquidity providing done at that level before. Like it's pretty amazing. Any of you guys who are into LPing, and you want to look at, you know, how like a quote unquote source address handles it, take a look at the top 2 addresses here. They're absolutely amazing. I got you still, Max. Any questions?
No, all good so far.
All right. So what is proof of benevolence? So anyone at any time can run this function with the Hedron contract and burn any amount of Hedron from existence. So essentially what I'm saying is this is coded into the Hedron contract, and it's literally coded as proof of benevolence, right? So it's a burn feature. So if you want to get tokens burnt out of existence, not just sitting in some dormant address, if you want to actually burn it out of existence, this is one method you would do that.
Before people Google, can you just define benevolence? I don't think a lot of people even know what that means.
I mean, it's kind of like not in this perspective, but just in general, it's kind of like doing favors, doing charity work, a lot of stuff that like a lot of churches and organizations do just to benefit the community is considered benevolence. In terms of crypto, when we're talking about Hex and Hedron, typically what benevolence means is it only acts to benefit the whole system, right? It doesn't do anything selfishly, like it doesn't try to profit from its actions. It mainly just tries to help promote a healthy ecosystem and help promote everyone holding the token. If that makes sense.
A power player that whose main goal is to benefit the community that they're in, essentially.
Absolutely, 100%. Okay, so doing this does a couple things. So doing so would decrease supply at a moment's notice, as well as generate more Icosa yield for the 3 staking pools. So why this is important is like say when we're looking at Hedron, if a bunch gets burnt, that is going to change your staker position in the pool, because your staker position is based on, you know, how many pool points you have or how much Hedron you have staked compared to the total supply of Hedron. So if some of that gets burnt, then that means your share goes up a little bit. But on top of that, all burnt Hedron divided by the T-share rate will be distributed to the Icosa staking pools, right? So anytime you see the SA doing any large burns, you should pay attention, because it means that you're probably going to see a boost in yield the next day in your staking pools.
Okay.
All right, so let's look at some historical actions on what we've seen this SA do so far. So let's go back to March 3rd of 2022. This would be what, like a week after the launch of Hedron, because we launched February 25th or 26th. So not far along after launch, we saw a burn of 991 billion Hedron tokens, which is nice. And at that point in time, you're really just thinking, oh, it's just burning tokens and making our tokens, rarer. You know, it's just kind of helping the ecosystem. It's bringing down the total supply. That's what we thought back then. Maybe what's happening today is connected. We'll see. And then we saw the next day, we saw another burn. 1.3 trillion tokens was burnt the next day. And then March 26th, we saw a burn of 77 billion. And then on the same day, we saw a burn of 87,000, which is very interesting. And then if we speed up all the way up till August 8th, which would have been just a few days before the launch of Icosa, we saw a trillion tokens burnt there too.
Wow.
So if you're looking at this and you see that there's some weird burn amounts, like that last burn of 1 trillion, that makes sense, right? It's just like a 1 trillion burn amount. The other amounts are weird, especially the 87,000 Hedron. Because what is 87,000 Hedron worth? Like what, like 27 cents?
Yeah, not much.
So what's up with that? That's weird.
What's up with that?
What's up with that? I would say that's weird, right? I would say that's a little mysterious. So
I like where this is going.
Yeah, So let's look at this mysterious burn amounts. So first, let's look at this one. This was the 77 billion that was burnt. And looking at this, you'll notice all the little decimal points after this. It almost looked like it was like manually typed in. So I'm wondering if there's a code in that. What would you do, Max, if you saw this and you were wondering if there's a code in that? Is there anything that comes to mind?
Looking at the number itself, I mean, there's different numbering systems. That's one of the first things I would look at. But also, is it a specific number that fits I mean, not like a password or key, but does it? I mean, the first thing I look at when I think of it is, or think of when I look at it is, oh, that's just the leftover amount from some trade that you fat fingered that you thought you were going to get a round number to. But I know it's deeper than that. I'll let you get into it.
Have you ever heard of the American Standard Code for Information Exchange?
Oh, ASCII.
Exactly. So
Okay.
what if we just do a decimal to ASCII conversion?
I didn't want to go with the easy play, but I was like, I didn't think that was actually something, but okay. You converted to ASCII, okay.
And this is what you get.
MB USD C2 hex. Okay, that's something different than before. Move USD C2 hex.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wild or what? Are you interested?
Okay. Wow. It's not the end, is it?
No. So
all right.
This is like this is the first time I personally have ever seen like I don't even know how to say it, like kind of like a mysterious actor in an ecosystem be able to communicate without like doxing themselves. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like you could just burn a certain amount of tokens and communicate that way to anybody who's paying attention. So
okay.
When this burn happened, this was back on March 26th. March 26th was an important kind of time period because March 26th was when the OA came in and started setting the liquidity ceilings or liquidity wall in Hex Hedron, right? Like some of the daughter addresses of the Hex OA came in and claimed a bunch of their stakes, and then they ended up minting them to get a bunch of Hedron and then to create that Hex Hedron liquidity pair that we know of as the OA liquidity wall, right?
Right.
And when that happened, I think it was widely kind of known, like at least a lot of the circles that I was in that we were talking about, was leading up into this March 2026 time frame. The primary liquidity pair was USDC Hedron because it was almost like it was following Hex's kind of following their lead, because the primary liquidity pair in Hex is USDC, right? So with Hedron kind of being the first to come out, that's kind of a complementary, derivative token, if you will, with Hex. I think a lot of the liquidity providers thought, we should do the same thing. But it turns out, if you want Hart's Law to really play a factor and you want to be able to have Hedron pull up Hex and vice versa, and not really compete against each other but work together, then you have to make the USDC side of the liquidity pair turn it into Hex. So now you've got the primary liquidity pair of Hex and Hedron. So this was super cool because this was kind of a way for whoever owns the SA account to kind of get the word out, say, hey, all you guys who can see this, like if you have a big liquidity pool, in Hedron, you need to remove the USDC and change it to Hex. Does that make sense?
Yep. Wow. So this is a sign of what something to come, or something that has happened.
Is anybody psyched about this? Is it just
pretty
me?
Psyched? People are. The chat has been. There's some mind blown emojis. There's some that we all believe in SA. There's some cult like messaging here. Silver is pumped. Yeah, man. We want to know. The people want to know.
All right, so that was the first one. Let's see what else we got here. Here was the other burn. This was the smaller burn that was done the same day as that last burn, right? So again, we'll go ahead and we'll do the same thing. We'll do a decimal to ASCII conversion. And what do we get? What do you think we get, Max? Do you have any idea?
Oh, the last one was 8.7, right? So 8.7 is ILM. So it looks like maybe another move something. I'm just guessing off the top of my head. I don't know ASCII on top of my head, but yeah. Oh, W, never mind. Oh, the other one was 7 something maybe. Okay, Wind Moon. Wow. Wind Moon. Wow.
So we know the SA has a sense of humor. I thought that was hilarious.
Yes.
I was cracking up.
Wind Moon. And the SA is someone who, or some entity that has like millions of dollars in their war chest, right?
Yep.
And they're cracking jokes like this. I like it a lot.
Yep. Pretty cool. Any questions you see before we move on? Those are the only two messages.
A lot of crazy faces. Okay. Any questions on? I think people are they're trying to digest. Maybe they're grabbing some more LaCroix to make sure they get through the stream.
Sounds good. All right, let's move on then. All right. So the question is, are we witnessing proof of benevolence? Like, is the SA proving it? And just a calculation of everything that just the SA has burnt, it's come down to 3.3 trillion Hedron, which at recent prices is valued at about $12.8 million. So $12.8 million burned out of existence in order to make the Hedron token more scarce. And from what we know today, all of that Hedron that was burnt by the SA, plus any other Hedron that just happened to be burnt before the Icosa launch, is all being used as the bootstrap system in order to guarantee Icosa stakers yield for the next 360 days. So it's like when we see moves that a source address or an origin address makes that benefits the whole system, we know that in particular is a proof of benevolence because we can see the ramifications from it. We can calculate it, right?
Right.
It's very cool. All right, so let's move on to the other address because there's two that we're going to be looking at today. So the first one was the source address. This one is now considered to be the Hedron deployer, or also known as the flow address. So it's basically the same thing. The Hedron deployer address is essentially the address that really got the code onto the blockchain and got it all started, right? But it's also considered the flow address because it does some things, right? So originally, when Hedron first launched, we knew the flow address as this is where it's going to receive the royalties of any HSI NFTs that are sold on marketplaces that require an NFT or that require a royalty to be used. So it's not mandatory of a 0.15%. It's like if you're selling on OpenSea, then there's a mandatory royalty, and then there is. But if there's a new marketplace like hexmarket.com, I don't know what their royalties are set or if they have any, but it's strictly optional.
Okay.
If that makes sense. So we knew the flow address as, okay, this address is going to be receiving some royalties from HSI sales. And we know that, there's no expectation from these addresses, right? Now we know that all the tokens used to purchase the Watsa NFTs are collected there as well.
Wow.
Okay.
That's right.
So just to kind of wrap that up, the owner of the flow address and their intentions for it are unknown and/or undisclosed. You must not have any expectations of profit from this address.
And can you just clarify too, the flow address Hedron deployer, is that different than the SA or the same? Different. Okay, two different ones. Everyone listening, two different ones.
Two different addresses. The Hedron SA ends in F801 on the address, and the flow deployer ends in 24D8 for anybody who happens to have the blockchain up, I guess.
Somebody's on top of it when they memorize the last four. Nice.
All right. So let's look at this flow address a little bit deeper. Let's first look at the holdings of the flow address. So mind you, where the holdings have come from. I would venture to guess that 99.9999% of these holdings have come from watts of sales. So that's why it's so important and so relevant as of today. Let me refresh this. I just want to see if we hit, so close. 21,992 watts of NFTs so far. So close to 22,000. And we've only got a few minutes left. All right, well, let's look at the holdings right now. So first one is Hex. How much Hex is in there? 74,714,000 Hex. How much Hedron? 1.9 trillion Hedron. Maxi, 26.9 million Maxi, which I might add is the largest whale address in Maxi currently, I believe. 549 ETH, 16.49 wrapped ETH, 2.9 million USDC, 999,000 DAI, which I might add, if this confuses people, so the top 6 coins, not including DAI, were all available to be used to purchase your Watts NFTs. The DAI, what's going on with the DAI is we saw the whoever controls the flow address, we saw them swap out USDC for DAI. I would assume that all they're trying to do is kind of mitigate the risk with stables, right? We know what's going on with USDC right now in terms of Tornado Cash, so maybe it's just kind of de-risking away from just having one type of a stable in there. But we don't know, right? We don't have any expectations. We don't really know.
Right.
And total, we're looking at $17 million, roughly.
17 mil. And just repeat, this is the biggest Maxi whale. Is that correct?
Correct.
Biggest Maxi whale is a benevolent address. That is music to my ears, or any Maxi holder for that matter.
And I'm sure all you guys were watching Dipcatcher today, like I was, and he kind of had mentioned that it'd be pretty amazing to see this address kind of get claim or swap for the team token. That might be something crazy that could happen. But we don't have any expectations, and there's all there is possibilities, and we really just have to wait and see. We can recognize trends, which is the trend is benevolent, but we can't really dictate what's going to happen in the future because there is no expectations, right?
Is there anything you can see from the holdings that would make sense for this entity to do something with team or the perpetuals? Is there anything that would be beneficial? So if they're benevolent, if they're benevolent for Hedron, Icosa, that ecosystem, is there any feedback loop that would make sense for them to make a move with that Maxi or otherwise to get, mint team with Maxi, right? Can you see anything like that?
Yeah, I think so. Let's see what my next slide
says. All right. I've never seen these slides before, everyone. We're going through this. Yeah.
All right. Are we witnessing proof of benevolence with the flow address? Well, there's only really been one major action that the flow address has done, and it burnt 1 million Maxi tokens out of existence. So roughly $70,000 at recent prices.
So 1 million out of the 26 million it holds now, or I guess it would be 27 million.
Yeah, they had almost 28 million, and they burnt 1 million.
I'm curious, why would they hold that much and burn 1 million? I'm curious.
So I would rather, I will try to tell you why, but Dipcatcher is the go-to guy for this. Him and Gold Key, they understand their system way better than I do. But I would.
Sorry to interrupt, but it is 5 o'clock. Everyone,
there it is. It's done.
It's done. NFT 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, whatever that is. I guess it's midnight UTC or just struck 11:59, whatever. I passed that. Happy Watts beginning. This is just the beginning. Happy Watts a day. There you go.
And guess what? We hit 22,060 watts of NFTs. Heck yeah, man. That is awesome.
22K. Okay.
Awesome,
Yes.
awesome.
Back to Maxine.
So let's just say that part of the incentive structure of team has to do with burning of maxi tokens. That's all I'm gonna say. And maybe it burnt these tokens to juice up the team token in terms of maybe it's looking at entering the team token as well. But these are just thoughts and theories. We don't know for sure exactly how things are going to play out, right? We just got to wait and see. But I will definitely keep people updated. If anybody wants to stay updated on any of this stuff, just feel free to follow me. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Telegram, and I'm on Reddit.
But how would you classify? Excellent job, by the way. Excellent job going through this stuff. Just a question on that too. Like, how would you classify the Hedron deployer address, the flow address? Is it, how does it rank, or where does it rank in the wells of Hedron? Would you consider it being, not just the amount of Hedron it has, but I don't know, what's a better name for it? Should we just refer to it as deployer address, the free flow address, the FA? Like, how should we refer to it commonly?
I think the less technical term is just the flow address. Like this is where funds kind of flow. It's that's why I kind of had it. I had like that cash register symbol there, is because it's like we don't know what it's going to be used for. But I like how you kind of prefaced these accounts as like a war chest. Like I can
Heard that
see,
somewhere. I think either you or Slaw said
yeah,
that, by the way. I think that was a good way of to me too.
yeah. I think these addresses just want to be benevolent, and I think they can deploy their tokens in ways that could help out the entire ecosystem. And I don't think it'll hesitate to do so when it sees a good opportunity. So I think it's, I will always just refer to them as the SA and the flow, because that's just how it was introduced to me, and that just kind of stuck. But if you go to the actual address, it shows it as the Hedron deployer, so it's like the address that actually started everything. So either one is acceptable.
Nice. Excellent job. Again, people follow at Gifford Ware, Twitter, Telegram, Reddit, all the things. Beautiful, man.